We're all sitting, waiting here as the clock counts down. How many people, well, first of all, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Hi, Christina. Hi, Yulia. Hi, everybody. I'm curious because we have so much Dharma available to us. This morning, there's already been 2 classes before this one. Who went to the YSI class with Earl this morning? And then who went to the class with Tim and Nick this morning about Arya Nagarjuna? It's pretty amazing, isn't it? And we have all these choices. And sometimes it probably will be hard, like, do I do this class or do I do another class? We have these choices. Or else you get up as early as possible or record it and look at it later. So for me, it's so exciting to see that we have that problem, rather than there being too little, that we have so much to choose from. And I find it really exciting. I hope you do as well. And it's incredible opportunity. Maybe I shouldn't even say it's a problem, but sometimes it's like, which do I choose? What's the highest thing for me to choose? So I want to begin by thanking David Siegel, who is here with us. Hi, David. He initiated doing these review courses. He came to ACI 2 years ago. Yeah, something like that. Maybe a little longer ago, or maybe less than that. I don't know. We've been doing this for about a year now, right?
Yeah.
And David said, I need those 18 courses. Can somebody teach them, please? And Ale Hasso approached me and I said, sure. I will be happy to teach them. So thank you so much, David, for initiating this. That's all it takes, is for someone to ask, would you please teach? And a teacher will show up. Maybe not immediately, but a teacher will show up. You just have to ask. Don't wait for them to offer. It's important for us to learn to ask for the teachings that we need. So again, I want to thank David. We've all been recipients of this great gift and kindness that he did for all of us to do course 18. Just a few, few logistics. First of all, my name is Ven Gyelse. I live in Arizona near Geshe Michael, and in an area called Sedona. And I've been a student of Geshe Michael's since 1996, maybe before some of you were even born. And I was very happy to meet him. I had been looking for a teacher for many, many years. And when I met him, I knew that he was my teacher. And I have been with him, traveling with him, and studying with him since that time. Our classes will be held, as you know, on Saturday and Sunday mornings here in Arizona, whatever time it is where you are, for the next 5 weeks. I believe on October 7th, we may change. No, Natasha's shaking her head. Yes, she's saying yes now. We will be changing the class because Geshe Michael will be teaching with the mixed nuts at that time. And so we're going to add a class, I believe, somewhere, because we've got 10 classes and a review class. So that makes 11 altogether. This class can be taken for credit, or it can be taken just as a course that you want to listen to and get a big idea of the whole structure of all 15 courses of ACI. If you're taking it for credit, that means that you're doing it as a review, that you've already done the courses that each of these 3 courses, ACI 16, 17, and 18, cover. So that's what you need for credit, that you're doing it as a review. If you're just doing, you're totally welcome to be here. You don't have to do your homeworks or your final or your quiz if you're not taking it for credit. And it's am I talking too fast, translators? Sorry, just thought about that. It is an incredible opportunity to just sit and relax if you're not taking it for credit, and absorb as much as you can and get an idea of what you're going to be studying in the future. So with that, are there any other announcements, Natasha? Natasha says no, that we're good. Okay, so with that, we are going to start. Let me pull up the screen share. Begin ACI 18, Review Course 3, which will be covering classes 10, 11, 12, 13, no, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay. Okay, what's going on here? No. Let's exit. Sorry about that. Hold on one sec. Everything just crashed. We'll start again. There we go. Marina's got her thumbs up. Okay, so everybody can see my page. So, Great Ideas of Buddhism, Part 3, class of ACI 18, Class 1. So what you're seeing here, anybody know what you're seeing here? We're doing a review of ACI 11. Can you guess? Just unmute yourself if you know.
That the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life?
It is, exactly, David. Thank you. So this is the it's the print from the carving of the front pages, the beginning pages of the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. So I thought it would be really interesting for you guys to see this and to see what it looks like, not in your own language, but in Tibetan, and how beautiful the block prints are, and how, I mean, look at the carvings of each of the figures on here. We have Shakyamuni, and if I could read, it's a little too small for me to read. I could tell you who the other two are on each side, and how finely they're carved. And this is what has been handed down to us. And from this, So ALL goes out and looks for these texts. And then when they find them, we have people who read the Tibetan on there, right? They read this Tibetan, and then they transcribe that. And then our translators for Diamond Cutter Classics, they translate it. And you may know that Seiji Araro Takahashi and Geshe Michael are now translating this. So I encourage you, they've just begun to translate it. And then Geshe Michael's going to write a commentary. And so I encourage all of you, to come to those classes. So the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, written by Master Shantideva. And here's a picture of him teaching. And what we're going to cover right now in part 2, today and tomorrow, are the perfections of patience and joyful effort. Everybody say chunjuk. Chunjuk. These chun basically means activities or dharma. Njuk, it's what we call prenasal. Njuk means to engage in them. So this is a short name for Jangchup Sempa Chupala Jukpa. You can see here we've got the chu and the juk over here, right? Which means how to act like a bodhisattva, a Buddha warrior. So if anybody asks you what you're studying and you want to tell them in Tibetan, you can say chunjuk. The way of life of a bodhisattva. So what is a bodhisattva, Christina?
A bodhisattva is a person who wants to get fully enlightened for the sake of all living beings.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Someone who is dedicating their whole life to other people and to getting them enlightened. Come on, there we go. So again, I'd like to share all sorts of pictures of Master Shantideva. And here's another picture. In Sanskrit, it's called the Bodhisattva Charya Avatara. And Master Shantideva lived around 700 AD. The commentary that we're going to be using is from Gyelse J. Dharma Rinchen. Anybody know who Gyelse J was? Since I can't see all 34 of you, I can only see 6 of you at once. If you know, just unmute yourself and please share. Gyelse J was one of Lama Tsongkhapa's students, one of his 2 main students, right? And he lived 1364 to 1432. Gyel means victor, like the victorious one. And of course, it's referring to enlightened beings. And say, like here, you can see exactly my name, Gyelse. It means child of the victors. So again, his commentary is called Gyelse Juknok. Everybody say Gyelse Juknok. Juknok, which means entry point for the children of the victors, which we all are, right? We're all children of the Buddhas. And Geshe Michael says this is the greatest commentary to the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. A lot of it has been translated in this course, and that's what we're studying. And then also, as I suggested, come join us at Diamond Cutter Classics and see how this gets translated. So in the teachings about the 4 powers, the principle is that you can remove your old karma, right? If in the 4 powers, taking refuge or shelter, having regret for what you did, stopping what you did. We're talking about our negative karmas here, right? And then an antidote. There are 4 ways to destroy your old bad seeds. And so this principle is taken from the Bodhisattva's way of life, which is pretty cool, isn't it? That it's been taken from the Bodhisattva's way of life. There we go. And because in the Bodhisattva's way of life, it says, if I have worked hard over many lifetimes, amassing good karma, it can easily be destroyed in one moment of anger. And on that basis, we can wipe out all of our good karma. So from that, it's been extrapolated that we can destroy those bad seeds. We can destroy that negative karma by using these 4 powers that I just mentioned. And if you haven't studied the 4 powers, I suggest that you do, because they're an incredible tool for helping us to destroy our past negative seeds. And of course, because we stop doing it and we have an antidote, then it helps us to plant new good seeds. And so the habit becomes less and less and less. So this is what we're doing on this path. One of the things that we're doing on this path is destroying our old negative seeds that trip us up every time. Right? They are our obstacles. So again, are we bodhisattvas yet? I would say we're bodhisattvas in training. We're baby bodhisattvas. We're going to bodhisattva school. In Harry Potter, they went to wizard school, but we're going to bodhisattva school, which I think is even cooler. It's like being the highest of wizards. And a bodhisattva is someone who has reached a very high level of acting for the benefit of everything, not thinking of themselves first. Let me get out of here. I can't get over. There we go. So bodhisattvas are beings who, they don't focus on themselves, they serve others. That's their primary goal. That's their primary thing that they do in their life. And from the moment that you get bodhicitta, that moment, in the direct perception of emptiness, you also have this direct perception of bodhicitta. And you know from that moment on that you will be dedicating yourself to serving others. Totally. So then the question is, we look around us. Do we know who a bodhisattva is? Do we know who anybody is around us? No, we don't.
No. Yeah.
Right? We don't. So what do you look like when you become a bodhisattva? Who around us is a bodhisattva? Does your face change? Does your body change? This is one of the first questions that Geshe-la asked Ken Rinpoche. Well, how do I know? And it's dangerous because we don't know who around us is a bodhisattva. And we have this propensity, we have this thing that drives us in our lives to look out for number one, to defend me, to defend my point of view, to defend I'm not getting what I need. And when that arises, when that demon arises, we get angry, right? We get angry out of frustration, out of need, out of desire. We get angry. And we get angry usually at the people closest to us. Because we have expectations of them, we have expectations of ourselves around them, and we get upset with those who are closest to us and who we say we love the most. And that one moment of anger can destroy our good karma from the root. It's pretty scary. It's pretty dangerous. And so, Master Shantideva here is saying, don't get angry. Don't get angry. At least don't let it come out of your mouth. And don't cook it and let it get bigger and bigger, how angry you're at somebody. So why, this self-interest, this self-cherishing, our biggest obstacle, our biggest demon, this self-cherishing, the me, I want, now, is what causes this. And we have to really, really look out for it because we don't want to destroy our good karmic seeds, right, from the very root. And yet, many of us have this habit of getting angry when things are not going the way we want them to go. Whether it's on a personal level, a political level, a worldly level, whatever it is. And so Master Shantideva goes on to say, if there is something you can do about it, why should you feel upset? Right? If you can do something about it, do something about it, right? Why get upset about it? Just fix it. Like if you're having a fight with somebody, it takes two to fight, right? If you don't push, there can't be a fight there, right? So if there's something you can do about it, why get upset? Why get angry? if there's nothing you can do about it, why get angry? You can't do anything about it. It's what's arising at the moment. It's like, okay. I went through this. I just finished building this house or having it built, and things didn't turn out the way I wanted them to. And yeah, I got a little upset, and it was like, no, that's not how I want them to be. That's not the way it's supposed to be. And I was like, can I do anything about it? Well, if I can, then talk to my builders. If I can't, it's like, okay, I'll live with it. There's no point in getting upset. Who does it make miserable? Me. It doesn't make anybody else miserable. So the idea when studying the third perfection, I told you we were going to talk about the perfections. The perfection of, sometimes called patience, or we'd like to say the perfection of not getting angry. When we say your buttons are pushed, right? And when you think that you're justified in getting angry. Okay? Like, do you get angry at a child who runs out in the street? You might get ferocious, like a mother lioness, to protect that child. But anger is not there. It's in love. It's in love that you act in a ferocious way. So we're not saying don't act in a ferocious way when you need to stop something, but not motivated by anger. When you love somebody and you want to help them, let it come from your love. Not because they're not doing what you want them to do, or they're not speaking to you the way you want them to speak to you. Anger will not fix it. Anger just escalates. That's why red is the color of anger, because it's heat, right? And this heat rises in us. So the perfection of patience, the art of not getting angry. How do we deal with it? Well, if we watch what happens, there is a certain sequence of events that happen, right? First, anger is always preceded by what? By being upset, right? You're upset about something. And then what happens after you're upset? You get angry. But prior to being upset, and why am I sharing this sequence with you? So you can watch your own mind and stop before it gets to anger, right? Then you have a little bit more time to stop it. And the more familiar you get with this sequence, and the more often you use it, the less you will get angry. And then you won't have the habit of being angry. You won't destroy your good karma. And there'll be less anger in the world. Right? There'll be more peace in the world, peace and happiness. And isn't that what we want? More peace and happiness. So before you get upset, we say you get off balance. And before you get off balance, someone says something to you. It's just sounds coming to your ears. It's just decibels. Your mind, because of your seeds and how you've treated others in the past, hears those sounds and reacts to it. You know, someone could say, let me think. Oh, you're having a hard day today, aren't you? The same words you could hear as, oh, you're having a hard day today, aren't you? Right? They're the same words, but how we hear them and how we interpret them then triggers what we do next. And we only hear them in the way that we have programmed our karma by how we have treated others in the past. So, you know, someone says something you don't like, it just sounds, but you interpret it as a certain thing and you don't like it. And then you get a little off balance. It's like, oh, I didn't like that. Oh, that didn't feel good. Your mind gets slightly off center. You know, it might take 4 or 5 seconds. And to evaluate what they say doesn't take long, right? It doesn't take long, but it rocks your boat a bit. It's like being on a lake when a little wind comes up, it rocks your boat a bit. And that is the part about getting off balance. Right? And then you get upset. Another 4 or 5 seconds to reflect on how off balance you are getting. So it's not liking what the person is doing or what the person is saying, and then you get upset, and then from getting upset, you get angry, and then what happens? You destroy the whole situation. It blows up like an atomic bomb or just a little bomb. You know, it blows up, and it always does it ever, in my experience at least, it never solves anything. In fact, it makes things worse. And so, and then if you're really lucky after that, you have what's called Kunzin. So what is Kunzin? It means holding that anger, like for minutes or hours or days or years. So we don't want to get to that place. So again, let's go over the 5 steps, and we're going to be working on this class today. Someone says something, you lose your joy, you get upset, right? You get off balance. You get upset, and then you get angry. So the point is, by knowing the sequence, by knowing these steps, you can stop it here before it gets to anger. Or you can stop it here before it gets to anger. Or you can stop it here before it gets to anger. So the best place, of course, is to stop it before you get upset. Because once you're upset, it's like a train that's traveling 300 miles an hour, and you can't stop it. So you have maybe a 5-second head start, right? Natasha, you have a question. I'm not ready to change the slide yet. So, thank you. The other perfections take years of effort. You know, meditation, contemplation, and to apply it. But the perfection of patience, you either succeed or fail within 5 or 10 seconds. It is practiced throughout the day. This is an all-day practice, right? You only have about 10 seconds max to either do it or not do it. And then you're practicing it. And if it happens, then you practice it in retrospect. You think, oh, what did I do? Oops, I shouldn't have said that. So it is an all-day practice. So again, if you're feeling upset, if you can do something about it, then why get upset? And if there's nothing you can do it, why be upset? Master Shantideva says to be like a bump on a log. Just chill. Just chill out. That bump on that log is not going anywhere, right? It's just staying there. So if you can do something about it, do it. If you can't, don't get upset. If you can avoid getting angry, if you can avoid getting upset, you won't get to the anger. And it's what we call a concentric circle theory of acting kindly. So it's like this. The outer circle. Someone says something to you. It's just, remember, it's just sounds. The words are just sounds. Of course, you know, you may have somebody with a big mouth yelling with their mouth wide. They may be looking at you like this. You know, there's other cues that we have too. And that's where it starts. We're interpreting what's coming through our eyes and what's coming through our ears. How and why we interpret it in a certain way is due to good old auntie karma, to those seeds that we planted by yelling at someone else, quite frankly, by getting upset at someone else. And so if this happens, we just keep that samsara, that mini cycle going. It's got to be cut and stopped at some place. So it starts with someone saying something. And you get off balance. So how could you stop it in here? Someone says something to you, and before you get off balance, it's like, maybe they're right. Maybe there's something here I should listen to. Maybe this is a different perspective. You know? We have like minuscule amount of time. And this is what practicing patience means. Practicing. Trying to get to that point where we don't just react, where we can stop that moment of reaction to our world. So rather than be reactive all the time, we can be creative. And then you get upset. At this point, between getting off balance, if you can feel yourself getting off balance, oops, that affected me. Go run to the bathroom. Drop a coffee cup. Do something to distract the energy, right? When you feel that boat just starting to wiggle, when you feel the emotion starting to come up, when you feel that heat, when you feel that self-cherishing, do something to stop yourself from going there. And usually a physical thing can be very helpful. It could just be even dropping a pen or, sometimes, and the person who triggers me the most, because I'm not married, but I have a son, and he knows how to trigger me. And I can remember a time we were in Hawaii and he got really upset with me and I just had to leave the house and go for a walk because otherwise I knew I was just going to blow up in reaction, in reactivity. Isn't this where wars all start? In reactivity. And it's a vicious cycle. So if we can feel ourselves get off balance, take yourself out of the situation as best you can. It's like, just remove yourself. And then you won't get upset, at least in front of that person. Then you'll go off and you'll cook it and it'll get bigger and bigger. And then you'll get upset at some other point and say something you wish you hadn't said, right? I know, I've been there. I still do it. It's hard. It's really hard. This self-cherishing. And then bam, you get angry. And it's like this explosion. Some people have a much more gentle nature than others. Others have a habit of getting angry. And it is just that. So don't beat yourself up if you are one of those ones who gets angry. Just work on it. Watch this sequence. Pay attention to it and work with it. It'll get easier. Not immediately, because you have to work on it. So if you never lose your joy, right? This in the red here, if you never lose your joy, if you will never get off balance. And if you never get off balance, you will never get upset. And if you never get upset, you won't get angry. So we can work from it, from the outside to the in. And when you're analyzing it, work from the inside out. Oh, I got angry. When did I get upset? What was happening? What was happening when I got off balance? What was happening when I lost my joy? When I was fine one moment? Why did something someone say or do to me, hear that word, me, that big capital M-E, cause me to lose my joy, right? So throughout the day, try to remain pretty happy with what's going on. And I can tell you also, the fights I have had with people and with my husband, they're like so much history now. They're like, I don't even remember them. It was like, what was the point of getting angry? I don't even remember what it was anymore. It's like, it's going to pass. It will pass. You won't even remember it next year or 5 years, or, me, I'm 20 years out. It's like, I don't remember. I don't remember anymore. What was the point of putting all of that unhappiness for myself and for the other person involved out into the world? So We only have about 10 seconds to react. And if you're aware of these steps, you can use them, right? You give yourself a little more time. And that is such a gift. You can slow down this bullet going to the center. You can slow it down, like in the Matrix, right? You can slow it down so that it never hits the bullseye of anger. Does it happen overnight? No, it doesn't. It takes practice. And you know, you can even ask the other person to help you. It's like, will you help me when you see that I'm getting upset, to slow down? They can be your partner. And you can even tell them, you know, I'm working on my anger. I'm working on my self-cherishing. And I may get upset with you. Help me not to get upset. They don't want you upset with them. They don't want to be upset with you. Right? So there's space in there. Try to create some space. So there's no enemy like anger to destroy not only your goodness, but the good things in your relationships with others. How a moment of anger can destroy a relationship. So even if you're attacked physically, your body may get hurt. But if you have this protection, they cannot hurt your mind. You love your enemy as yourself. What do they want? It gets back to that at the beginning, which is that everybody wants happiness and nobody wants suffering. And Master Shanti Deva said, you know, all the happiness in the world comes from taking care of others, and all the unhappiness in the world comes from taking care of yourself. So if you're attacked physically, they can't hurt your mind, but a moment of anger definitely can hurt your mind. Also, the physical harm can't hurt your karma. It can't hurt your good seeds. In fact, it's like, okay, somebody hurt me physically. I don't need to hit back. That karma's done. It doesn't have to happen again. Okay? So if you know the danger signs, you can stop what's happening. That's why we're going into this. Now, it doesn't probably seem reasonable that a moment of anger should wipe out all of your good karma, right? So we need to talk about that. It is in relationship to the object, to the person, to the being, right? Primarily, it's the power of the object to whom you are getting angry at. They're at least human, usually. Sometimes you might get angry at your cat or dog, but usually not. It's like, how come? They might do something like poop on the floor, but do you get angry at them? No. You have compassion for them. But if somebody verbally poops on you, what happens? You get angry, right? Just look at it. So the object is powerful. At least they're human usually. And a human is someone who can get enlightened in one lifetime. You're getting angry at someone who has that capacity, who has everything possible to get enlightened in one lifetime. So are they a holy object? Yeah, they are. At worst, maybe they're a Bodhisattva or a Tantric deity in disguise, trying to see how good your practice of patience is. They're testing you. How is that practice of patience going today, right? And later, when you reflect on it, it was like, oh, maybe they were just testing me. Maybe. These are all the different tools that we have to help us, ways of thinking, ways of reprogramming, honestly, our minds so we don't go to anger. So it's mainly the power of the object. So again, what if you're doing virtuous things? What if you're serving somebody or doing good things towards this being or for this being or with this being? Are your virtues as intense as your anger? If they were, you would be building a mountain of virtue. You would be building this incredibly beautiful mountain of virtue if our serving others was as intense as when we get angry at others. So think about it's an incredibly primal energy, anger. It's got so much power. What if you could harness that power for goodness instead of for destruction? Wouldn't that be cool? To use that power to change our world where everybody would have what they need, where they feel safe, where they have a home. Everybody, not just humans, every being. If we could harness that power that comes from that anger, of that self-cherishing of me for goodness, what would this world look like? So it's hard to find, our good deeds usually. Like when you sit down to do coffee meditation at night or in your bed before you fall asleep, how good at you are finding your goodness. How good are you at finding the things you regret and your unhappiness, right? What percentage of each are in your mind? What percentage do you want in your mind? That's why it's so important to water your good seeds. Even if you just think of one, you had to have done one good thing during the day. You got up out of bed, or, whatever it is. You rejoiced at seeing a bird or hearing a bird go by, whatever it is, whatever it takes, Are your virtues as strong as your negative deeds, your negative emotions, your anger, as your bad deeds? So Why is this? We've had millions, let's say countless lifetimes of practicing and training in selfishness. That's all it is. Millions of lifetimes. It's a habit. And that's why the 4 powers are so important, because we can change these habits. That's all it is. The good deeds come about, because we think about it. We talk ourselves into doing it intellectually, because we understand this. And then they become a new habit. So we talk ourselves into doing good things, and then it becomes a habit. So Master Shantideva says the degree of your patience is a mental decision. It's an intellectual, mental decision. Right? You're patient with your dog. If you have kids, you're patient with your kids. If you have a partner, sometimes you're patient with your partner, and sometimes you're not patient with your partner. It's a degree. And it doesn't depend on outside circumstances. It depends on our own mental joy. If we're happy, what can rock us? Take for instance, when we're first in love, if you've experienced that, when you first are in love with someone or something, nothing can rock you. You're in joy all the time. And nothing someone says or tries to discourage you from can change that. It's a mental state. What if we were in love with ourselves, with the people around us, with our world all the time? Makes me think of Teacher Connie. She is just full of joy all the time. What can rock her? It's like nothing. Nothing. She is like a good, steady rock. So, somebody irritates us once, okay. Or someone says something once and it doesn't irritate us. Maybe they say it again and it doesn't irritate us. But the third time, we decide, okay, that's enough. I've had enough, right? It's just a mental exercise. All right, they're saying that again. Okay. It's a decision that we can make. Can we say, okay? Can we say, I will be patient with this person my whole life? I mean, that's kind of what we say when we get in a relationship. But are we able to keep that promise? We put a limit on it. We put a limit on my joy and their joy. And we see somehow that there is a separation between my happiness and their happiness. Right? And so you can't say, maybe I could be patient if they wouldn't say that thing. Or maybe I would be patient if I had one more person in my life. Or maybe 10 more of them, right? Or, that person hits me and that person breaks my things. Does it mean stay with them? No. Does it mean to have compassion for them? that they are suffering and unhappy and try to bring them happiness? Yes. So sometimes in a relationship, it is time to separate if there is no happiness there. So Master Shantideva says, it's not logical to respond like this is the last straw. I was patient once, I was patient twice, I was patient 3 times, but this 4th time, I've had it. Why does that happen? We've been storing those. We haven't really been patient. We have still gotten off balance. And we have still gotten upset. Oops, where is it? But we've kept it inside. And we're counting 1, 2, 3. Okay, this time I'm not patient anymore. This time I've got to, say something. He says, it's not a physical decision. It's a mental decision when it's too much. It's a decision of how much pain can you take from this other person. They're suffering. And sometimes we can't even get into a conversation with them about why they're suffering and how they're suffering, because they don't know or they're scared. Master Shantideva says you can always hold more. And he gives an example of boxers in the ring, right? There's certain people, like when you have 2 boxers who are aggressively beating on each other, when they see, or even soldiers and warriors, when they see blood, they get even more powerful, right? They can take more, they get wild, they get inspired, right? It's not a physical limit, it's mental. It's mental. You can see, like some people, when they see blood, they'll faint. Is that a physical thing? No, it's a mental thing. And others get inspired. This is the example he gives, so we can cook it and think about that. It's like, well, am I justified in getting angry? So the limit is not physical. It's a decision, and we can work on it. So in the chapter on patience, it's like this beautiful piece of Buddhist scripture. The idea of where did your problems come from is in there. It's like, it's just gorgeous. And he brings up 3 ideas of where your problems come from. And he's not talking worldview here. He's talking patience, not getting angry when you think the time has come. And all of a sudden, he's talking about where your world comes from. And it comes down to 3 choices. Say, sowo. Sowo. So this idea was popular in India about 1,200 years ago. And it's very popular, in fact, right now. Right? From the picture, you can see maybe what it's referring to. Right? There's this force called Sowo. The Big Bang. Boom! Everything came out of the Big Bang, right? Everything is random. It's all came out of this Big Bang. But if everything is random, what would the implications of that be? There's this explosion zillions of years ago for no reason at all. It just happened, right? There hadn't been anything there before. Of course, now they're saying there was a Big Bang before the Big Bang. Well, what caused that Big Bang? Can something happen without a cause? So all of a sudden there's stuff flying around, they hit each other, and through countless years until they hit each other to make your nose and to make your ears and your eyes and your whole body, your whole world. It's just random. Stuff just flying here and there. There's no rhyme or reason to why anything happens in this universe. So Soul is the primal one. That's how it translates, the primal one. Soul makes things. It continually creates the world, but no one made it. This is also kind of our idea, a Christian, Judeo-Muslim Christian idea of a God who creates everything, but is nothing created them. So they're beginningless, they're uncreated, they're unchanging, and they're permanent. And there's a whole bunch of questions to ask about that. Like, if they create something, don't they change? How could they be unchanging? Every time I open my mouth, I change. Even just sitting here breathing, I change. Even in death, my body changes. Constantly in change, in flux. So Soul makes things, the primal one, continually creating, continually, affecting our lives. But they themselves are beginningless. They never began, they never ended. They didn't come from anything. They're uncreated, they're unchanging, and permanent. So Soul was like the Big Bang, and I got these mixed up, sorry. Doc is the big guy theory, who made the world. He makes all things in the world, right? Soul made all things by this explosion and things bumping into each other just randomly, and created water and air and the planets and the universes, etc. This guy, Doc, is like our God, makes all things in the world good or bad. He made the beautiful environment of this earth, or she, or they, let's go for that pronoun. They made this beautiful planet of the earth. They also made the cancer that my sister has. Is that acceptable? If they can make beauty and good, why would they make destruction? Why would they make humans who kill each other? Why would they make forest fires and hurricanes and floods? And again, who made this guy? Who made them? Nobody. Like Soul, they just happened. A self-existent being. And this person, this Doc, experiences the world with their far-reaching tentacles. In Hindu cosmology, they're called Atman, the self-existent being. They are the oneness, the self, also eternal, uncreated, and unchanging. So first we have a choice of Soho, the Big Bang, which is uncreated and eternal and unchanging. And we also, then the next choice we have is this Atman, this self-existent being, who is also eternal and unchanging. Both of these, which have their equivalents in the scientific world, the Big Bang, right? And ideas in the West and the Middle East of God. You know, it's God's will. I hear that. Both of these have their equivalents in our cultures. Something just happened from nothing. So check, you know, most of us grew up with both of these ideas. We have them as part of our culture. And then the question is, do they make sense to us? Do they make sense? First, there's nothing, and then there's this big guy or big woman. They don't have a father or a mother. They just kind of, where'd they come from? They just show up, poof. Or there was an explosion from nothing. So Master Shantideva is trying to figure this out. Where do we come from? Where do our problems come from? Because, you know, he says, wait a minute, something can't come from nothing. So he doesn't buy either of these. He says, no, it logically doesn't make sense. Don't believe Master Shantideva. Go and check it for yourself. Do the logic for yourself. So he's not trying to put down other religions. He's not trying to put down science. We, though, are going to get old. Trust me, I'm getting old. Thought about it the other day. I was like, maybe I don't have so many years ahead of me. Of course, we never know, but, you know, in the long scheme of things, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna leave this body behind. And the worst thing that can happen is that you meet people you don't like. Is that just random? Did they just come from nowhere? Did they just come from the sky to come and irritate you? Right? Is there some being up there who's sadistic and putting them in your life to annoy you all the time so you can learn and grow from the experience? Oh, I can learn and grow from that. Yeah. Did something else create all the bad things which come into your life? If so, then we're doomed. So Master Shantideva is talking about this, right, in the context of overcoming our anger. He's trying to help us figure out how to overcome our negative emotions. And of course, the worst one is anger. That's like top of the list. And so he's taking us on this journey to find out where all these people in our life who annoy us, who do things to hurt us, Where the heck are they coming from? So if I could figure that out, would I need patience? Number 3. So figure out where they are coming from. Stop the negative emotions at the source. Figure out where are the bad things in your life coming from and remove them. And then you don't have to be patient anymore. So it's not just about putting up and letting that stuff build up, right? Because we know where that goes. It just builds up, and what happens? We get angry. Yeah, blows up. Just like the Big Bang, and then pieces of our anger are flying here and there and bumping into each other, and it's a mess. Or like a pressure cooker blowing up and splattering food all over the kitchen. So we want to turn it off at the source. We want to figure out the source and turn it off. So if it ain't random, then it's coming from what? My deeds in the past. Karma. In Sanskrit, lay in Tibetan. So Master Shantideva says this is profound. As you progress on your spiritual path, the more you study, the more you meditate, and the more you go on retreats so that you can really think about these things deeply, the more you will understand. When you get into deep states of meditation, you begin to slow down the movie, and you begin to see the truth of seeds. How one moment creates the next. You can only do that in deep states of meditation. So I highly recommend doing retreats where you have that chance to get out of your daily life and to dedicate yourself to really meditating more consistently, because you will realize things on what we call a visceral level within yourself, rather than just understanding them intellectually. Things come from things which are similar. You don't get bad things from nice things. We don't get figs from thistles. We get figs from fig seeds, right? And we get thistles from thistle seeds. And we don't just get things randomly, or from some being up in the sky who's just having fun with us. Something bad happened before. You did something bad to someone else, and now it's coming back. It's that wheel of sharp knives coming back to hit us. We did something to hurt someone, and that's why we're meeting that person. We have to deeply understand this. Otherwise, you'll never have patience. Who is that second husband in the kitchen? Where did they come from? Are there two husbands in the kitchen? If you don't understand this, then it is hopeless. you'll just become a master coper. And your life will not be pleasant. Coping with all the bad things that come to you. You'll constantly be complaining about all the bad things coming to you. You won't be a happy person. Right? If you understand where these things are coming from, though, you can turn all of that around. So what does that mean? Next time you're yelled at, you think, oh, I'm seeing them yelling at me because I got a little upset with somebody before. Karma grows exponentially, right? There is a seed in my subconscious, and it grew and grew, and now it just appeared in my mind. It came out, right? That little picture came out, and there that person is in front of me yelling at me from that little tiny seed that grew. You know, I come from Northern California where the redwood trees grow, and redwood trees grow to hundreds and hundreds of meters. They grow incredibly tall, and they grow big too. Or even those of you who have seen old oak trees. An oak tree comes from an acorn this big. A redwood tree comes from a seed half the size of my fingernail. That's the way karma works. It's a teeny tiny thing. And it stays in our conscious, doubles every 24 hours. Right? So, you know, there's this seed in my mind, someone that is now flowering. Someone is yelling at me, and I don't like them. But you know what? There's somebody who really likes them. And there's somebody else over here who doesn't really care about them at all. Why is it I am having such a hard time with them? Why are they objectionable to me, right? Because I planted some seeds by being a little irritated with somebody in the past. So you don't have to think about it anymore. It's like, oh, I created this. It's flowering. It's ripening now. Done. You don't have to go there. You don't have to get angry. You don't have to get upset. You don't have to feel off balance. You can keep your joy. Do you want them to keep bugging you? If so, yell back. Go ahead. If you want the cycle to continue, that's the only karma that will cause them to come back in the future. And it is the least wise thing to do. But what's our normal reaction? To yell back, to fight back, to criticize back. We have Bodhisattva vows against doing that. Why? Because we do it all the time. We do it all the time. So Master Shantideva is talking about this again in the context of overcoming your anger. Overcoming your negative actions and your negative emotions. So be patient and continue to be patient with all the stupid people in your life and the things that happen to you year after year after year. Or go after the cause. So he's not just talking about, he's not criticizing other religions of 1200 years ago, talking about Solo. He's not criticizing Christianity or Islam or Judaism. He's saying you will never, ever become a perfectly patient person. You will never overcome your anger until you admit that is you. It is you who created this situation. Right? And act upon that by not responding to them in the same way. That's how to break this vicious cycle. You can have a big samsaric cycle and you can have little samsaric cycles within, right? That is what is called samsara, just even these little ones that happen in our lives, or korwa in Tibetan. So the things that we normally do to get rid of people who we are having a difficult time with in our life is what brings more of them into our life. We criticize them, we ignore them, we push them away. And until we understand that by doing that, we're planting the seeds to have them come back in our lives. It doesn't help to be patient. And probably we can't be patient. So Master Shantideva talks about the chain of events when someone hurts you, and he says we should be angry at when someone hits you with a stick. And he says we have 3 choices. So this is his example. When someone hits us with a stick, we have 3 choices of how to react. There's the person. We can get angry at the person. We can get angry at the stick that hurt us. That's like getting angry at the dog who pooped on the floor. And we can get angry at their anger. So he says the thing you should be upset about or dislike or struggle against is not so much the stick. The stick is not under its own control. Did the stick jump up and hit you? No, of course not. It can't do anything unless a person does something with it. Of course, what if you stepped on a stick and it flew up and hit you? I've had that happen. Do I get angry at the stick? No, of course not. I stepped on the stick. So do I get angry at myself? Not usually. So the person, do you get angry? Do you grab the person for hitting you with a stick? You don't grab the stick, or maybe you grab the stick to try and stop it. But you don't grab it to try and hurt it. It's just a stick. You basically go after the person who, anyway, they probably ran away after hitting you with the stick, and you go chasing after them. But by that same logic, you should go after their anger. Because were they making a choice to hit you with a stick? It was their karma. Their hope. What happens when we're in a fit of anger? We're hopeless. We're uncontrollable. The person was not in control. Their anger was in control. So just as a stick is helpless in the clutches of the person is helpless in the clutches of their anger. So it's not the stick that tried to hurt you. It's the guy who tried to hurt you, and not even the guy who tried to hurt you. It's their anger that tried to hurt you. And that is coming from where? From you. We can say they were angry because they were upset. We can do the concentric circles here. They were upset because they lost their joy. And they blamed you for losing their joy. Who created them? You, right? You created them. So go after the anger. Anger's generic. It's not my anger, your anger. It's anger. It's generic. It doesn't belong to anyone. You don't have to go to the newspaper to find anger. You can just look around everywhere. Where can you find it? Especially here. So go after that anger, the closest one, the one you have control over. You don't have to go after anybody else. Go after your own. Do the logic again. The guy is out of control too. We have plenty of anger close at hand in our own selves. So go after your own anger. And why are you angry? Because your joy has gotten upset. Your joy has been robbed. And that would be the most efficient way to go after anger. So how do you do that? You starve it. You starve it. You don't feed it. The person you see being angry feeds off of your anger. And your anger feeds off being upset. And being upset feeds off of being off balance. Right? So refuse to give them upset. Refuse to give them off balance. And being off balance feeds off of losing your joy. So losing your joy comes from not understanding where things are coming from. Don't feed it. Nourish it with your understanding of seeds and how they create your world. So this is the ultimate weapon. What is the one thing to be angry at in your life? The seeds that negative seeds that you created. Be angry at your anger. Go after it. Don't let it run your life. Don't let it destroy your life. Don't let it destroy your relationships. Don't let it destroy your environment. So we have to constantly, and I know most of you know this, and that's why we're here. We have to constantly keep reminding ourselves over and over again. Master Shantideva says, if you keep this stuff up, you will break this vicious cycle of all the irritating people in your life. Go to them and say, see you later, because they will disappear in your life. So, Master Shantideva says, if you stop hurting other people, there won't be anyone else left to hurt. Ditar parnu majene Gayang Nupe Meiji Do. You know, if you go into a room before you're trained in these practices, there will be a third of the people who you will like, a third of the people you don't like, and a third who you just don't have any connection with, who you don't really connect with and care about. And if you take those three you like and put them in another room, the same odds will arise. And if we break this cycle and refuse to respond negatively with anger, then that will change. And Master Shanti Davis says as well, if we cherish those opportunities when someone is irritating us to practice, then they will disappear from our lives. There won't be anybody else left to irritate you. So you can think of those irritating people as helping you, as your helpers. And the highest way to think about them is that they have been sent to show you where you need to work, that they are really holy angels who have been sent to you to show you where to work in your life to change your negative deeds. So you better hurry up and say, hey, thank you for helping me on this path. It's been a good agreement. You've helped me, and hopefully I've helped you, but you know, by you helping me, I can get to enlightenment faster, and I can come back and serve every being on every planet. So be grateful to them for helping you to get rid of your anger, that they came to you to irritate you specifically, and then wish them good luck. It's like, thank you. You helped me with my anger. Now you can go help somebody else who needs it. Thank you ever so much. And if you keep it up with the right motivation and with this practice, they will disappear from your life. So, you know, even I have said, you know, sometimes you need to put boundaries. If they're hurting you, sometimes you need to leave a situation. And those are like Band-Aids that we use to help us to grow strong so that we can change our seeds. We do need to do those things. And ultimately, we need to stop the seeds that we are creating or that we have created in our past so as to say goodbye to those beings. So those who give us a chance to practice patience, as we continue on this path, will become much more rare. And that's because our practice is getting better. They are still there because we still have a little way to go. So the highest offering that we can do to all of the enlightened beings is to do this joyfully. Sungangewa trowa o. Doing good things and having a good time doing it. Having fun fighting your mental afflictions. Having fun going after your anger. Having fun. So that's the definition of the fourth perfection. Sun means effort. Gelwa, no, Gela, sorry, means deed, and trovao, it means having a good time, having a party, right? Having a party. So it's the effort you make directed towards goodness. So you have a party all day while you're doing good things. You're in your joy, right? And nothing can knock it out. So if you're having a good time fighting your mental afflictions, then it's a party and nothing can rock your boat. So you get high, you get a chance to do something, maybe for ACI or for Diamond Mountain or for your old lady or whoever it is that you're serving, your children. You're having a good time. Everyone's a little giggly. Like when you go to Diamond Mountain, if you come for a retreat, everybody's having such a good time, right? And it's this very connected, high experience. And we're all having fun. We're having a Dharma party. It's joyful effort. Joyful effort. Hopefully we're having it here too. Joyful effort in being in class, for me, sharing all of these ideas with you. There's nothing more I would rather do, in fact. So the goal is happiness. And the time getting there is happy. It's not like you have to suffer to be happy. So that's what joyful effort is. Also, a little bit about the Tibetan here, gay. Gay means like merit or deed, as I said here. It's helpful, it's pleasant. And la is like enthusiastic. So it's joyful. It's a joyful deed. It's joyful effort. So then we talk about this. What is this thing called Buddha nature? And I don't even remember where I found this picture, but I love this picture. It's just like opening your chest up and there's a Buddha inside. So Buddha nature is covered in Lord Maitreya's Abhisamaya Alamkara. And it talks about the existence of your own Buddha nature. And your Buddha nature is what guarantees that you will become an enlightened being. So you must, everybody is on this trajectory, on this, it's like this arrow going to the center of a, just went out of my mind, but like, going right to the center and piercing through. You have to become an enlightened being. That is where we're all headed, because we're fighting our mental afflictions. We're accumulating good deeds. And even though it feels like we'll never get there, that we need more and more and more, eventually we will get all the good deeds that we need. So why? It's and I don't have one here. I was going to say it's the pen thing. All I've got is scissors sitting on my desk. It's the pen thing, right? So we've changed the name from, Prajna Paramita, wisdom, to pen paramita. It's the pen thing. To a dog, it looks like a chew toy. To a human, they can write a beautiful poem to their beloved with it. What is it really? It's just a cylinder, right? It is Rangshan Meva. It has no nature of its own. So is there a Buddha in our heart that we just have to uncover? No. What is this Buddha nature? So, Rangi Tseni Kijupa. Say Rangi Tseni Kijupa. Rangi is self-nature. Tseni is definition. And Kijupa is existence spot. So one school says that it exists by definition. Buddha nature, meaning that it has some kind of self-existence. That's one way to think about it. Another school says Rangshan Nerik. Say Rangshan Nerik. It's something that is innate and inborn in us, meaning it's already there. And then, so the definition of innate Buddha nature is that thing which is emptiness and which will become the essence body of a Buddha. So what does that mean? It's the fact that our minds are empty. They have emptiness. They are blank by nature. And that's what makes it possible for extraordinary good karma to cause us to see ourselves as omniscient, standing on one planet, being able to send out countless beings to every being in the universe to help them to reach the same state. It's what makes it possible for us to become an omniscient being in the future. So Rangshan Nerik, right here, Buddha nature. Some people say that there's just a little Buddha in your heart. You just have to uncover them. Or they say you're already a Buddha and you didn't know it. And that's okay. You just didn't know you were Buddha. That's okay. But it's not like that. You do have Buddha nature in you. But it's not just like cracking a nut open and it being there inside of you. It means it's the emptiness of this body and this mind, meaning that this body that you have can become something that doesn't have to die, that it can become pure and a body of light, and the mind can become pure and a body and a mind filled with compassion and love and wisdom to serve every being in every universe, right? This is just a cylinder, just like the pen. So my arm is empty. I, in fact, have the good seeds to see it as a human arm. I don't have the best seeds to be able to see it as Tara's arm, but I don't see it as a dog's arm, right? I don't have those seeds, so I'm fortunate. And it's not coming from its own side. It's coming from the seeds that we've planted over lifetimes to see ourselves in this human body with everything we need to become an enlightened being in this life. Right? So, is it good luck or bad luck? No, it's just seeds ripening. It's not anything in and of itself. You plant better seeds in your own mind, and you won't have to see yourself getting older because it is empty. And this fact that our mind has emptiness, that they are blank by nature, is what makes it possible for extraordinary good karma to cause ourselves to see ourselves as enlightened beings in the future. So what should an aspiring bodhisattva do? How do you get there? How, we've talked about fighting your anger and all the things you need to do that. How should a bodhisattva act? That's what this whole text is about. So the more you give away of yourself, of things, your time, the better it would be. And the more painful it would be unless you do it with an understanding of emptiness. So there are 3 stages. Say Dakshin, Namje. Dakshin, Namje. Dak, self, as we talked about earlier. Shen means other. And Namje means to equalize and exchange. So first equalizing yourself with others, and then exchanging yourself with others. So there are 3 stages here. 1, watch. Look around you. Watch the people around you. See what kind of tea they would like, or what food they would like to eat, or maybe they want to sit in the shade and not in the sun. Pay attention. Watch what other people need. You're like spying on them. And we have a special term for this. It's called the Jampa thing. Jampa Lunrik lived in Howell, or still lives in Howell. And he is a student of Ken Rinpoche's. And he would always everybody came in through the kitchen into the temple. And well, the temple was separate, but into the house, you basically came into the kitchen. And there'd be a table there, and Jampa would invite you in, and you'd sit down, and he'd watch you. And I would watch him watching other people. And he would watch where their eyes went to. Did they go to the cookie jar? Did they go over to the stove? And he would always watch them and pay attention to them and give them what they wanted. So do the Jampa thing. Be Jampa Moonrik. And then the second thing is to put your mind in their body. And the third way is to wrap the rope around both you and the other person and decide that they're one person, you and the other. And I did this with somebody who I was having a really difficult time with, back in, I don't know, probably around 2000, 23 years ago. And I had a really difficult time with this person. And I made this decision, I had this teaching, and I put it into practice and wrapped the rope around them. And we're great friends now. It was like, I am going to serve this person just like I would serve myself. So we break down this distinction. We get used to thinking that way. A mother does it with their child usually, right? You were one being, and even when they're born, you are still one being. You look out for them just as you would look out for yourself. But you might think, well, okay, I can do it with one person, maybe 2 people, maybe 5 people, maybe 10 people. I can't feed everyone. What do you think Master Shantideva would say to that? It's just a state of mind. If you really wanted to, you could. You would figure out how to feed all of them. You figured out how to feed this bag of skin, right? You figure out how to feed me. You would figure out how to feed the other. And where does me end and other begin? Think about that. Think about that. So we feed ourselves. And we will talk about this decision that we can make to take care of others more tomorrow. Master Shantideva says, Suma lasok jimpa lang, drempa tokmar jor warze, de la gomne chine mi, remgi rangi sheyang tong. Start with carrots and potatoes. Start with what you can. At the end of this section, he says, don't bite off more than you can chew. It's a very, very bad karma to try and reverse your decision later. You can learn to give away your house. You can learn to pull your eye out of its socket and give it to somebody. But start with what you can do. And then slowly, as we say, increase it. Increase it. Start small. Start with carrots and potatoes. That is being a good Buddhist, starting with what you have, your capacity. And each time, push the envelope. Add a little bit more. Okay, I didn't get angry. We can even talk about this with anger. I didn't get angry for the 4th time. See if you can push it for 5. Use your antidotes. Use your stopping. Okay, I can stop this for 3 seconds today. Tomorrow, stop it for 4 seconds. So do a little bit more than you did last time. Build it up gradually, just like with your meditation practice. Add a minute every week to build it up. Start where you can. You have to build up gradually. So the verse I read to you translates, the guide has sent us at the beginning to do our acts of giving with vegetables and the like. When we've become accustomed to that, then later on, we'll gradually be able to give away even our flesh. And your meditation for today and a few more days during the week, please try and meditate at least 3 times on this. It's only 15 minutes. Patience and joyful effort. And check your own patience and check your joyful effort and see what you can do to increase both of them. Just one thing and practice that. And then when you become a master of that, then you can, I'm going to just stop sharing. Then you can add one more thing. And in that way, you build up your capacity. And that's the end of our first class of ACI 18. Right on time, 1 minute left. So sorry I took all the time and there's no time for questions. But I will see you all again tomorrow, and we will continue with this. I love Master Shantideva's text. It's something very close to my heart. There's so much wisdom there. And when I get goosebumps, when I first heard it, it was like, I just, fell in love with it. And it's such a wonderful guide for us. It's exactly what it says it is, a guide to a Bodhisattva's way of life. So see you all tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day. And thank you for coming and believing in this stuff and helping to create a much better world than we have. We need everybody's light in this world to make it a much more pleasant and happy place for everybody. All righty. See you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Please stay. Please teach us again tomorrow.
For teaching.
Thank you.
Let's see if our karma holds for tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
May it.
Thank you very much.
Let's dedicate.
Thank you very much.
Let's dedicate. You can all do it on your own, since I don't want to take any more of your time. And dedicate it to the highest thing you can think of. Thank you so much, and see you tomorrow.